Rerolling in gacha games is when you constantly restart an account until you hit a lucky start. CRK is a gacha game, so how much of an impact does rerolling your account make in CRK? First, why am I rerolling now, and why am I rerolling in general? Well, currently we have a code active for 10 Faithful Cutters, which makes rerolling for a specific Awakened Ancient or Beast significantly easier. And Eternal Sugar is a very strong cookie right now in terms of both PvP and PvE. Plus, the last season of my new player series had me intentionally not using any super lucky occurrences. So, I'm going gloves off this time and going back to min-maxing. Secondly, how do you reroll? Luckily, CRK has a handy dandy delete account button, so you don't have to do any email shenanigans. So all you have to do is play up to a certain point, roll the dice, and delete your account if you don't get what you want. There's a couple ways of doing this. You could play until you unlock the mail and reroll with just the 10 Faithful Cutters from the code, or the way I'm doing it, which is playing until you get the first 100 standard pulls from the Newcomer Kingdom event. Without further ado, here goes the first reroll. I initially planned on rerolling until I hit 2 of 3 of ES, SM, and FS, but unfortunately I am not jobless and ended up settling for less. But not that much less though, cause this one is pretty garbage. Since Frost Queen is useless now, there was quite literally nothing good in this reroll. Cool, on to the next one. So I decided to do a Hollyberry count this time, mainly because I heard that HP is significantly behind in terms of damage recs. Unfortunately, the second reroll was just as bad as the first. Just ended up with a base DCA, which, I mean, is okay, I guess. Moving on to reroll 3. It's just that easy. Okay, rerolling over. Time to actually play the game. Also, nothing too significant from the 100 rolls. I guess Seafarer is cool. And Linter saves 2000 mileage. Shout out to the devs for removing the limit on cookie levels based on kingdom levels. Gee, I wonder if my team is strong enough for 1-6. Bit of story progression later and I've unlocked the Cookie Castle, as well as the Might of the Ancients event. Give it a bit of thought and the best course of action would be to save it till I get PV or Holly, then I can just choose the one I don't have. So if I ever get lucky, I can actually awaken the Ancients. Anyway, on to the next batch of 100 pulls. Lol. This is exactly why I didn't reroll too hard. Even though I wasn't really playing during the Fire Spirit era, I have heard about the things he has done. Plus I can run him in RVD before I get my poison comp up. So about the Might of the Ancients thing, that solves my problem. I mean, I guess I can save it and see if I get DC or PV first, but Dark Cacao isn't that meta anyway, and 20 PV Soulstones would probably be more valuable than a DLDC unlock. But anyway, since I'm really getting into the rhythm of kingdom progression, I'm also blitzing through castle upgrades. As per usual, my goal is castle level 12 as it unlocks most if not all production items, a second trade harbor ship, and a bunch of bundles as well as slab levels. A bit later and I've unlocked guilds. Well, it's time for that part of the new account again. Eventually settled with the Masters 1 guild, though I am aiming for a top 100 guild quite soon. And yeah, I am really rushing through the Cookie Castle upgrades. Plus I've unlocked trains now and I do really need them for Aurora mats. And I finished up PP's quest, as well as finishing the first part of the Hall of Ancient Heroes unlock quest. Just as I said, I'm stopping for nothing with rushing my castle upgrades. Is it an inefficient use of time skips? Kinda, but I'll get thousands when I get into a good guild anyway. Also used up my daily ad skips. I don't use them every day, but they're always there and they help. As well as labs. As guild damage inflation keeps happening, good guilds are getting more and more torches, which means even more rewards, taking guild from the most important game mode to the importantest game mode. So labs are also a big priority, especially the crit damage labs. Unlocking labs also means that I've unlocked the Pavilion of Promise, which went okay for 24 attempts I guess. Meanwhile, in the Strawberry Cake Tower, I did however struggle with 348 quite a bit. The constant crowd control and my lack of a proper boss DPS when explosive burn doesn't apply makes it quite challenging, which means I have to gear up and try again later. But anyway, the first daily reset hit, though I am still counting the next bits as day 1 since it hasn't been 24 hours since I made the account. Which also means guild boss tallying is over and I can continue with my Newcomer Kingdom project. I mean, these epics aren't anything special, but it's quite a lot of epics, so I'll take it. Getting Black Forest here is huge because she's not in mileage yet, so that saves me Sultan Selector chest. She only needs Wedding Cake to start dealing significant damage to TLA. And what do you know? I can start getting my TLA team up and running, another 20 times Soulstone Selector saved. But wait, because it just keeps getting better and better. This luck is already crazy enough, so stay tuned for days 2 and 3 because luck on those are absurd. But anyway, thanks to the amount of mileage I'm getting from Pulse, I can actually get quite a few treasures, so I'll be focusing on those for a bit, especially considering that my common watch isn't even maxed yet. As per usual, Whistle Scroll Robe is the best 3 starting treasures, especially considering Whistle of all treasures got buffed. Normally, I'd like to save all of my EXP until I've maxed out the Tastier Star Achilles research, but now considering we have 200 strawberry trays worth of EXP, I find using the EXP now to accelerate my progress to be more valuable. So I guess allowing me to clear tray 40, which allows me to grind up more EXP earlier. Meanwhile, on the kingdom side, I was able to unlock the magic lab alongside getting my castle up to level 6, which means I can also start mining ores and crafting charts, as well as crafting magic candies. And on top of that, I've also unlocked the second train station. I've decided to make Twizzly's magic candy first due to her Trey Alliance and guild boss value, though she is reliant on your other electric cookies being well built, so that's a bit of a mistake on my part. And after beating 8-30, I went straight to BC's prep, which means getting the goat himself, Rebel. But even with Eternal Sugar at level 90, the rest of my team isn't cutting it, so even just at level 50, Fire Spirit is absolutely molecularizing the mobs. And that's BC's hard mode done in day 1 without prune Mozzie keys. But not just 1-1, 1-2 and 1-3 follow suit. And whilst I'm farming a ton of crystals through world exploration, I should start working on getting every relevant landmark. And meanwhile in the Strawberry Cake Tower, I think ESFS ever so slightly trivializes these traits. Another benefit of having ES off the bat is that she's an easy 2-second start card control, which means you can actually beat horribly made teams even as a new player. Not bad. Though I'm not too sure if Arena's gotten harder or it's just Hollyberry's Arena being harder than DCA. Yeah, slightly trivializes Trey. Who needs to read boss mechanics anyway? When you have explosive burn, just explosive burn it, easy peasy. With all of the EXP from Trace, I was able to raise Rebel and Fire Spirit to level 90, which means it's back to grinding out beasties. Considering how accelerated everything has gotten, the biggest bottleneck for new players is now biscuits, especially elemental ones. Plus, Monster Menace is now permanent, so BCs is insanely important now. Now that I actually have the stats, I can go back to Trace once again. And yeah. Remember when these were challenging? I ended up getting stuck on Tray 9 since I don't have a consistent stunner. And unfortunately, ESFS doesn't beat it reading list with my stats. Oh, there we go, that's my stunner. Hey, Black Sapphire, that means I can work on the proper RPD comp before he goes into the mileage shop. Okay. And the couple to boot. Okay, this account is an account to be sure. Then I finished up my haul quest. Thanks to the trace, I have a huge excess of radiant shards. For now. I think I forgot to record tray 80, but you can imagine that it wouldn't be that much different from the other trays. Just make sure to use cleanser at 7 stacks when no mobs are alive aside from the boss. And tray 90, no reading, no problem. Just Fire Spirit it. Tray 92 was quite a bit difficult though, and by difficult I meant that I had to take the game off of 2.5x speed full auto. All I really need are ES and FSS live so the rest of the team can actually die wave 1, and that's genuinely fine. Explosive burn moment. What a balanced debuff. What a balanced cookie. Likewise, Tray 93 wasn't an issue as well. Though the timer can sometimes be difficult due to my lack of stats. But that doesn't matter because now we have Tray 100. I don't know how the bar's filling up, but sure. Thanks game. And there we go. 100 trays in a day. I also made it through a decent bit of BCs. I am aiming to start farming the elemental biscuits as fast as possible for guild. Plus legendary biscuits have a 2 times higher drop rate on chapters 3+. I'm also finishing up the bulk of the stat landmarks, which will do funny things to my crystal bank. And I unlocked the tropical soda islands as well. I'm also shoving all of my landmarks into the sky garden because I don't have nearly enough space for them back in my kingdom. Remember how I was at 30-something thousand crystals a bit ago? Good times, those were the days. Quick guild boss damage check with the most cooked team ever. 1 billion, not too bad. And I'm just gonna craft up my first tarts as well. Nothing too spectacular, I mean, having choco tarts would be nice, but I'm in no position to complain about RNG. And finishing up the last train request so I can as I was saying, so I can start queuing my Cookie Castle up to level 7, which marks the end of the first day of the new reroll account. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, do all that jazz, and thanks for watching.